Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Nick Gambaro Show. I'm Nick Gambaro and today it's just me. Usually we have a guest or two on, but today it's just going to be me with you guys for this show. In today's edition of the show, we're going to get into the atmospheres in sports stadiums, which ones I feel are better, which ones are worse, which ones can be improved. So going to talk about that today, and mostly that we'll go in all sports: football, baseball, soccer, hockey, basketball. We're going to touch it all, so that's going to be the subject for today, so don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
There are many arguments against the death penalty. It's not a deterrent against the crimes that it punishes. Society who use the death penalty don't have lower crime rates than those that do. When a country abolishes the death penalty, they are not plunged into criminal chaos. But even if the death penalty did reduce crime rates, would it then be acceptable?
We're back here on the Nick Gambaro Show. I'm Nick Gambaro. As I mentioned in the opening, we're going to talk about today the atmospheres in different sports stadiums, which ones are better, worse, things like that. So, we'll jump right in since we're here at home in the U.S. and football is the absolutely most popular sport by far. Figured kind of compare the NFL stadiums, compare the college football stadiums. I know there's always a big debate about that and which sport is better and what event live to go to is better. Well, from my experience, I'll admit I've never been to a college football game. The only one I've been to is Delaware when my cousin went to college there, which is not a big school for football. Or sports for that matter. And NFL, I've only been to Jets games. I'm a diehard Jets fan. But from my knowledge of football, watching it for many, many years and, looking and kind of studying the atmosphere of the different stadiums and just seeing the fans and kind of being in that atmosphere, it's, I think more so depends on what college stadium you go to, especially if it's a bigger program, like a Texas or, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Michigan. Those fans in those stadiums are going to be a lot louder, more passionate, maybe than some of the smaller schools. They could be passionate as well, but you see how, like, Michigan Stadium holds, like, more than 109,000 people in it. Ohio Stadium, same thing. So all the stadiums in Texas, a lot of them are more than 100,000 people. So college, even though it's not professional, the players don't get paid, and, a lot of the fans either live there maybe and that don't necessarily, they never been there, but they still live in the town, or, they maybe don't have a professional team like Alabama. They love their college football because they don't have an NFL team to support, so they support their college teams. Or if you went to school there or go to school there, then of course you're going to go to the games. If you're really into the school and love it that much and or a sports fan. But you see kind of with college how they kind of play more for pride, and where the NFL, it's more money-based, and not that the players don't want to succeed or don't want to win, but there's a big gap and a big difference, I think, with college and NFL stadiums. I mean, the biggest stadium is what we have here, I wouldn't say a few miles, but right across the river in New Jersey, MetLife Stadium, that holds a little bit more than 82,000, of course, because you're in the biggest sports market in America, New York. So, of course, they're going to have the biggest stadium. But even now, the Los Angeles Rams, who just recently are brought back from St. Louis, they play in the LA Memorial Coliseum. They're in near downtown LA, which is home to usually the USC Trojans, who are very big there actually in LA, even though they haven't had football teams there since the Raiders and Rams left. They love their college football. They're very passionate about it. The other professional teams as well, of course, but they're really big into that, and that stadium holds about 90,000. So I think the Rams will get, good crowds this year. I think the fans obviously are excited, especially the diehards that have been waiting for the Rams or the Raiders to come back to LA. Definitely, but I'm going to get to the NFL more in a couple of minutes, but just to finish with college, you see stadiums, as I mentioned. Even Texas A&M has another big stadium there. They were the original, I believe, who coined the slogan, home of the 12th man, which is, the fans, and that make a difference in the game. It's like a European soccer atmosphere, how they're always chanting, screaming throughout the entire game, where to me the NFL is kind of, they're there for the game, they're passionate. You'll get your diehards that scream on every defensive play, and they'll, cheer constantly and be loud, but then a lot of times people are just kind of there to, I wouldn't say chill out, because it sounds like a baseball game, because to me baseball, and I'll get into more of that later, it's not a chilled out sport. You're on the edge of your seat. It's action every second, so it's fun, but I feel like a lot of the fans, they're just not as passionate, as college fans. But you look at places, two of them, Kansas City and Seattle, which were both competing at one time for who had the loudest stadium, and the Guinness World Record books was recording who was, and every year or every week in the season it'd go back and forth, but as it currently stands, I looked on their website, the Guinness Book of World Records, and Kansas City is the loudest stadium at 142.2 decibels, which is how they measure how loud the stadium is, which is pretty incredible. And Seattle as well is really crazy. I mean, they scream and scream their heads off. I have family there, and they have season tickets. They go to every Seahawks game, and they tell me that, Nick, it's so loud. I mean, your ears are ringing every Sunday after the game. Your voice hurts the next day, but it's fun. And I feel like that's what makes sports fun, is the atmospheres. And, because you don't want to be in a quiet stadium that, just chilled out. I mean, unless if you like that, but me personally, I need it to be a raucous atmosphere, the fans to be screaming and yelling, and, them to play loud music, get the players and the crowd really amped up and, ready for the next play or the next, scoring attack. And because I think that's a big part of sports, I feel like, the fans really, a lot of them, I think they make it for what it is and how popular it is. I mean, as I mentioned at the start of the segment, how football is. The NFL is so huge. I mean, and college as well. How they have fans, every single show all year round about football and analyzing the rosters and every trade move and all the schedules and scouting players. The draft, the NFL draft is huge. Fantasy football is huge. But a lot of people, because of that, with football don't like to really go to games, especially NFL, because they could get every game today. You know, DirecTV has the Sunday Ticket, and Verizon Files has the Red Zone channel that has every game. So you don't have to go see your favorite team, because you can watch your favorite team, whoever it is, along with every other team in the NFL. So plus the primetime games, so people keep track of their fantasy team, or if they want to see what's going on in other games. Whereas football, my personal feeling on it, I love to go to Jet games live, and because it's fun, you're engaged with the fans, they're passionate, it makes a difference. Where, at home it's nice in the comfort of your own home, but for me, being out with family or friends, I think it's a big thing. But with college, it's more of a pride, and it's just a completely different atmosphere. Like I said, if you look at clips on YouTube, or if you watch games on TV live, and it's loud. Majority of the time, if you're watching a huge college football game, their fans take their teams really seriously. Even college basketball as well, I've heard and seen on TV, the fans in the arena are going crazy compared to the NBA. So it's always an interesting topic to me anyway, sports atmospheres and things like that. But we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to get into some other sports, hockey, soccer, baseball, talk about the atmospheres and give my opinions on it. So don't go anywhere. The Nick Gambaro Show will be right back.
Because of camp, I learned to make lasting friendships with people I still keep in touch with today.
Because of camp, I learned about self-esteem.
Because of camp, I play guitar. I learned to be a team player.
I learned about diversity.
Because of camp, I am sending my kids to camp this summer.
I learned how to play guitar, I learned how to canoe, I learned how to fish.
I learned that I was the best Tarzan yeller in the camp.
Because of camp, I became a counselor.
I learned how to take care of the environment.
Because of camp, I learned to navigate the world.
I was good in school for a whole year so that I could go back to camp.
Because of camp, I got a personality. Now I'm...
Because of camp, I turned out just fine.
Hey guys, if you feel free to email me, if you have any questions, comments, or if you want a topic to be discussed on the show, you can email me at the Nick Gambaro Show at gmail.com. So send an email to me if you feel free. And
what makes you happy?
welcome back to the Nick Gambaro Show. I'm Nick Gambaro. We just discussed the football atmospheres in college and the NFL. Now I'm going to move on to the rest of the landscape of sports, hockey, baseball, etc. Baseball and basketball, to me, well, and yes, I'm not a big fan of them, but I think a part of it is the atmospheres in the stadium. You know, NBA, to me, there's not a lot of defense. There's, I think, to me, too much scoring. The fans, to me, and listen, this is only my opinion. I'm not trying to knock any fan or any, if you're a fan of that particular sport, that's great. That, more power to you. Me personally, baseball just doesn't do it for me because it's very chill atmosphere, and basketball as well. It's it's too much scoring. It's not To me, the last, part of the game, the last minute of the game is where all the drama really is, and, because there's so much scoring, and then the last minute to me is what I could watch. Same thing with baseball. I gotta wait until later on in the game to really watch it and get into it. I mean, I've been very lucky enough to went to a World Series game last year when the Mets were in the World Series. I'm a diehard Met fan. I went to a playoff game as well, not City Field, Shea Stadium, when they were in the NLCS in 2006. That was pretty crazy. Also, City Field, it was crazy. It was loud, but not for the entire game consistently. It didn't seem like. I mean, the fans were into it, but to me, the best playoffs are hockey. There's always dramatics, a lot of dramatics to me in hockey because it's a fast up and down game. The fans are right on top of you. You're in a small arena depending on where the team plays. A goalie save, team on a power play, you're desperate to clear the puck out, they're taking shots. A team scores, and I'm a diehard Islander fan. I was very lucky as well to go a few months ago to Barclays Center to see the double overtime winner by John Tavares. The Islanders, it was their first playoff series win in 23 years. Which is a long time. It's about the same age as me. So, since I've been around on this earth, the Islanders have not won a playoff series, and finally they have. So, but the atmosphere at Barclays Center, a newer arena in Brooklyn, but really loud atmosphere. Just the fact that it was a double overtime winner, because that's the thing with hockey. It could go on till 3 in the morning, and you still won't have a winner until that one goal was scored, and the fans just go crazy, and the players clearing off the bench celebrating. It's fantastic. Also, I was very lucky enough, to go to a playoff game at the Nassau Coliseum before the Islanders moved to Brooklyn, and that was an unbelievable arena where you were on top of the rink almost and on top of the players, and the ceiling was low. It was a very low attendance, much like Barclays Center, but it's a very old building, like Shea Stadium and many others that, to me, that's the whole thing with atmospheres too. Like today, of course, especially here in the U.S., a lot of the sports teams, have newer arenas, brand new arenas. And, the atmosphere just isn't the same. Whereas if you went to a Nassau Coliseum or Oracle Arena in Oakland or, any old stadium, the atmosphere is completely different. But the Coliseum, it was, it echoed, it was loud. So was Barclays, but I wouldn't compare the two because it's two very completely different arenas. It had that kind of historic nostalgia to it. Nassau Coliseum, in their heyday, the Islanders won their 4 straight Stanley Cups, 19 consecutive playoff series, which will never be done again. No team wanted to come into that building, and I'm so upset. I am a diehard Islander fan, and those are my teams, Jets, Mets, Islanders. It's that they weren't on the list of top 10 toughest places to play. That was a show they had on NBC Sports Network, and I was like, how can you not put it on there? Even if I wasn't an Islander fan, that to me, that building, the way it was, the way the fans were absolutely, oh my goodness. They were lunatics, but that's what makes it fun and exciting. And the small building like that and all the noise held in, it was great. But also, too, in hockey, you had the old Boston Garden where the Bruins played. Same thing, play it, the fans would be on top of you. Even now in the TD Garden, it's pretty good, the atmosphere there. The Montreal Forum where the Canadiens used to play, they love their hockey up there. The Bell Center, too, a lot of teams don't like to go in there in the present day. You also, Philly, of course. Philly sports fans are known for being passionate and loud and crazy, but that's what makes the sports, that's what makes it special is the fans, and even in California, which you wouldn't think hockey, California, what's so popular? I'd want to go to a game so bad at all three because I love hockey. I want to go to all three arenas in San Jose, LA, and Anaheim because the fans show up almost every night. I feel every night. The teams are good. The playoff games, especially when they play each other, whether it's San Jose, LA, or Anaheim, LA, the fans hate each other, the players hate each other. It's great. And hockey to me is a special atmosphere. Moving on to soccer with the few minutes we have left in the show, because soccer to me, and I've said this, they're the best fans in sports atmosphere-wise. Growing up, I wasn't a big soccer fan, but once I saw Italy win the World Cup in 2006 against France, I started kicking a soccer ball around that day. I just fell in love with it and got obsessed with it and watched the Premier League and all the European leagues and got into the MLS later on and, watched the women's and men's World Cups, and there's something about soccer, and look, all sports bring people together, but I've seen with soccer, there's just something extra to it, where they have the fan zones in the city centers, and there's thousands of fans celebrating when their team scores a goal and wins, and the atmosphere is how they sing and chant songs the entire 90 minutes of a game, and even here, and I'll go to Europe in a sec, but the United States, I went wearing their jersey. The Seattle Sounders out there. I went to a game when I visited my family. Oh my goodness. They play in CenturyLink Field, home of the Seattle Seahawks. But they sold that place out with over 60,000 people for a game against the LA Galaxy. The Seattle won 4-0. The place was jumping. And even before the game, they meet in a specific part of the city, not too far from the stadium, and you march with the fans while they wave their scarves and sing songs. You march to the stadium, and there's just a whole special aura about it. And even here in the States, and they have that rivalry with Portland, who has a great fan base. And, there's other pockets in the United States, like Kansas City and, others that have really great atmospheres for soccer, and it's getting there, and I believe it will get there, more popular in the country, in the United States. Red Bulls fans are great. NYCFC fans have been showing up since the team, their inaugural season last year. So MLS is really on the rise, and when you look at European soccer, I was lucky to go to a game in Spain, Italy, and Germany, and the fans, it's what you see on TV. It's that crazy, that raucous, and then none of them were rivalry games, but still, that's what I really want to do, is go to a rivalry, like North London Derby or Real Madrid and Barcelona, or the big teams, it's because the fans, it's watching it and being a fan of the sport for 10 years now and watching it, the fans really make it special. Because if soccer was not passionate and loud, it'd still be a great sport. But the fans, it's fantastic. Some of the loudest stadiums you see in England, like Old Trafford where Manchester United play, White Hart Lane where Tottenham play, like the smaller stadiums, and they're all old, by the way. All these European stadiums, most of them are still built like in the late 1890s, and they're still around. They fix them up and update them a little bit, but Anfield too, and when the whole crowd sings "You'll Never Walk Alone," and in Spain and Italy, and the Allianz Arena, which is a newer stadium in Munich, Germany, but even that has a great atmosphere. And where swaying back and forth, the crowd. They're jumping up and down in the stadium. I watched this video. It was a German team. I can't recall the name of the team, but I sent it to one of my friends. I'm like, yo, you're not a soccer fan, but you have to look at this. And it was the stadium that literally, it was going up and down, shaking, literally shaking the stadium. So, you know, this is a very special topic to me. It's something I enjoy a lot. Love talking to my friends about it and anyone who's a sports fan. So, but that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Nick Gambaro Show. I'm so glad you could join me, and it was a lot of fun today. This is a topic, as I just mentioned, I love talking about very much. So, but tune in next time to the Nick Gambaro Show. I'm Nick Gambaro. See you soon.
Check out Easy Access Math on YouTube. It's math made easy.